Good day, future scientists. Welcome to our science class. Today, we will be discussing about measuring motion in terms of distance and time. Look at this clip, class. What can you observe in the environment? Very good. You can see the movement of the people, of the vehicles, and the machines in an amusement park. So in other words, people and vehicles are in motion since they are moving from one place to another. So with this, wherever you go, you can always observe force, energy, and motion interacting together. At the different objects in the park, in the busy streets, even building houses, and of course when you are playing, they are all objects in motion. So in this lesson, you will recognize the movement that observe according to a point or a frame of reference. Specifically, this lesson, you will learn how to describe the motion of an object by tracing and measuring its change in position or the distance traveled over a period of time, and use appropriate measuring tools and correct standards unit. So last meeting, we have discussed about estuaries and intertidal zones on how we can conserve and how we can protect our environment, especially our estuaries and intertidal zone. So all you have to do now, as you remember the lesson that we've tackled last meeting, is to draw a happy face if the statement tells a way of protecting and conserving estuaries and intertidal zones, and if does not, draw a sad face. So for our number 1, I dispose toxic products properly. Is that a happy face or a sad face? So definitely that is a happy face. So we should dispose toxic products properly. Okay, for number 2, we will use disposable plastic bags rather than reusable ones. Is it a happy face or a sad face? So that is yes, that's a sad face because we should use reusable, not those disposable. Kasi pag gumamit tayo ng disposable, the more na madami tayong mako-consume ng mga plastics. Okay, let's now move to question number 3. Let us encourage fishermen not to engage in dynamite for fishing. Is that a happy face or a sad face? That is, yes, that is a happy face. We should encourage them na huwag gumamit ng dinamita sa kanilang pangingisda. Okay, number 4. Let your pet's waste be washed up to waterways. Is that a happy face or a sad face? Very good. That is a sad face. Hindi dapat natin itapon yung mga tae ng mga alaga nating mga hayop doon sa kanal, doon sa mga waterways na yan. Kasi it will pollute the bodies of water just like estuaries and intertidal zone. Next, number 5. Respect animals that you find along the seashore. Is that a happy face or a sad face? So that is a happy face. So kailangan natin pabayaan pag meron tayong nakitang mga turtle, pawikan, or whatsoever na nandyan sa seashore, or anumang hayop dyan, or anumang animals, we should respect them. Huwag natin silang agad-agad na kukunin. So that is on how we protect and conserve our environment, especially our estuaries and intertidal zone. So this time, let's now proceed with our topic, which is about motion. So as I said a while ago, that we are surrounded by moving objects. From the time you wake up from bed, having your exercise every morning, to taking a bath, eating your breakfast, and doing some household chores and other more activities until such time you will going to sleep again, will require you to move, or it may involve movements because we need to move in order to complete our daily tasks. And this movement is what you call motion. Motion is already part of our everyday living. So my question now is, what is motion all about? So motion, an object is said to be in motion if it changes its position with respect to its surroundings in given time. So sinabi niya dyan, kapag nag-move ka from one place to another, there is what you called already a motion. Meron kang distance na travel, at the same time, meron kang time na consume, and that is motion. Aside from that, motion is always observed and measured with a point of reference. So later on, we will discuss about this, what is point of reference. Motion is also said that all living things show motion, whereas non-living things show motion only when some forces is acting on it. So lahat daw ng mga nabubuhay, there is what you call a motion. Yung mga non-living things, yung mga walang buhay na mga materials, they have this motion kapag meron ng tao or meron ng ibang kagamitan na nagpakilos doon sa non-living thing na yon. Okay, so what is all about this point of reference or frame of reference in motion? So sabi niya dito, is a stationary object that is used to determine if an object is moving. So para malaman mo kung yung isang tao, isang bagay ay nag-move, ay merong isang motion na nagaganap, dapat meron kang tinatawag na point of reference or frame of reference. Halimbawa, this video. Diba? In this video, makikita natin na nag-travel itong car na to. So, paano natin malalaman na gumagalaw itong car na to? So, as you can see, parang gumagalaw din yung tinatawag na mga nasasalubong niya, yung mga trees. So, therefore, the point of reference there is what you call the trees. Why the trees? Kasi yung trees ay hindi nag-move. Yun yung reason, yun yung palatandaan na ang isang object is in motion. Okay, so the trees there are great to use as a reference point. Why? As you can see in this video, yan, pag nakikita nyo, parang gumagalaw pero hindi sila gumagalaw. So, this is why it is important to use stationary objects as a reference point. Doon mo malalaman na gumagalaw yung isang tao pag nag-move na yung isang bagay. O, halimbawa, yung driver dyan, tapos yung katabi niya. Alin doon yung point of do you think there is a motion there? So, wala. There's no motion inside the car kasi hindi sila gumagalaw doon sa loob. Yung car lang yung gumagalaw. Okay. So the forces in nature produce many different types of motion. Isaac Newton was the first person to describe the physical laws that explain how objects around us move. So, over centuries, just like Isaac Newton, yung mga engineers, yung mga discoverers, have used their understandings on motion and forces to build many tools and machines that are useful to us. So some of which are just like for a plain fun only. So sila yung mga dahilan, especially si Isaac Newton, isa siya sa mga reason kung bakit nalaman natin yung tinatawag na motion. Isa siya sa mga dahilan bakit na-discover yung motion. Paano ba nagkakaroon ng motion at ano-ano yung mga ginawa nilang mga tools, mga instruments para matest or para lalo nating maintindihan ang motion. So we have types of motion here. We have number 1, we have the linear motion. So a linear motion is a one-dimensional motion on a straight line, like an athlete running on a straight track. So, that is examples of a linear motion. Yung parang athlete na nag-jogging or yung mga nagmamarcha ng mga sundalo. those are examples of a linear motion wherein they go in a straight direction, whether it's going to the east, west, south, or west, north. So we have examples just like when you are playing a bowling tournament or pag may bowling ka. So pag binato mo yung bola, there is what you call the direction in the motion or the movement goes in a linear direction. Another one is when you are running, just like an athlete or a soldier or a policeman or even a regular guy or a regular people can do running. Another example is that when you are pulling and when you are pushing something, that is examples of a linear motion. So another type of motion is that we have rotary motion. So what is this all about? So a special type of motion in which the object is on rotation around a fixed axis. It stays in one place and turns round and round about an axis. So heto yung mga umiikot, yung paikot-ikot lang. Yung parang yung sa jowa mo, pinaikot-ikot ka lang. This is a joke. So we have an examples of rotary motion. We have what you call an LEC. Then sa electric fan, we have a Ferris wheel. Then sa amusement park, kung nakasakay na kayo dyan. And we have also a spinner or spin, yung trumpo. That is examples of what you call rotary motion. Even the cycle of a bike is an example of what you call the rotary motion. So third one types of motion is what you call reciprocating motion. What is this all about? So a repetitive and continuous up and down or back and forth motion like a needle in a sewing machine. So there is what you call a up and down or a back and forth motion. What are example of this? We have a seesaw, diba? There is what you call up and down. Another one, we have also a yo-yo. So I know you played already a yo-yo. So that is up and down movement or a back and forth that is reciprocating. And we have also a wood saw. Ayan, yung lagarin na tinatawag. Or it can also be a chainsaw. Yung alam mo yung chainsaw, yung pang chainsaw ng wood. Ayan. That can be an example of reciprocating motion. And the last type of motion is what you call oscillating motion. So ano nga ba itong oscillating motion na to? So, a repeating motion in which an object continuously repeats in the same motion again and again like a swing. We have what you call the examples. We have the swing, we have the pendulum of the clock, and we have what you call the pirate boat ride that can be seen in an amusement park. So that is an example of what you call oscillating motion. Ayan. Yung nag-swing siya. Okay. So, let's now proceed with this what you call the speed. Oh. Ano pag sinabi nating speed? Tumutukoy sa bilis. Yung bilis ng isang bagay. So, a speed, it measures the motion of an object. So, pag gusto mong i-measure yung motion ng objects, we will get the speed of an object. So, the distance traveled in a given time. Ilan kaya yung distansyang travel niya over a time? That is what you call the speed. It has two elements. We have the distance and we have the time. So, halimbawa na lang to, itong car na nandyan, na nagja-drive dyan. From your house going to your school, what is your speed? Or what is the distance from your house going to your school? And how time did you consume traveling that? Oh, that is already the speed. That is how to get the speed of an object. So, the average speed is simply the distance covered by an object divided by the time it takes to travel the distance. So, yan yung kung paano natin makukuha yung speed ng isang object. Speed is equal to distance divided by time. So, the formula must be like this. So, we have the S, which is the speed, is equal to D for distance, divided by t for time. So that is the formula on how to get the speed of an object. Okay, how about the distance? How can we determine the distance of an object, or how can we get the distance of an object? Paano natin malalaman yung distance ng isang bagay? So, distance, it is the measurement of the space between objects, how far or near point from one another. So, parang from point to point yan. This is, an example of this is this one, yung taong nagja-jog. That is the starting point, and there is what you call the end point, yung last na. That is the end point, point to point. Di ba, meron tayong mga bases na point to point yung direction. For example, from Trinoma to Pampanga, that is point to point na sasakyan or ng mga bases na pinagsasakyan natin. Like for example, yung start na sa bahay ka, and then yung end, yung house. So we will get the distance, how far did the runner or this man traveled from the home going to the school. So titignan natin yung distance, paano kaya kukunin yung distance, or how can we get the distance of an object. So this is D is equal to S times T. So that is how to get the distance of an object, wherein D is the distance, S is for the speed, and T is for the time. That is on how to get the distance of an object. Next, we have also the measuring tools in terms of distance. So, heto yung mga ginagamit nating mga tools. Paano natin ma-measure yung paano natin ma-measure yung travel ng isang tao or ng isang object. We have the measuring tools in terms of distance. We have the tape measure, we have the meter stick, we have the laser tape measure, we have the long tape measure, we have the measuring wheel, and we have the ruler. So those are the tools that can be used in order for us to measure the distance of an object. Another one, we have also time. Paano naman yung time? So ang time, the amount it takes an object to travel to a certain distance. Gaano kaya siya katagal? Niya travel, mabilis lang ba niya travel o mabagal? O dahil nga naglakad siya, mabagal. Dahil nagbike siya, mas mabilis. Dahil nagkotse siya, sobrang bilis yung kanyang nilakbay. So that is on how to deal with the time. So how to get the time of an object? So time, T, is equal to D for distance divided by S for speed. So take note of that. That is the formula on how to get the time of an object. Okay, so we have also a measuring tools in terms of time. We have the alarm clock, we have the water clock, we have the this is the analog clock. We have the sundial, and we have the atomic clock. Hindi ko na-edit yung isang alarm clock. Okay, so that is what you call the measuring tools in terms of time. Okay, we have also units used for distance and time. Ano tong units na to? Heto yung mga ginagamit natin. Or there is what you call the standard unit or the standard system of unit that we are using. So heto yung talagang ginagamit natin internationally. Kahit saan ka mapunta, heto yung gagamitin natin na pang-measure ng distance at ng time. Kahit nasa ibang bansa ka, heto pa rin yung gagamitin natin. We have the least in distance. We can make use of centimeters, cm, meters, m, kilometers, km, and then miles. We can make also use of time, just like seconds for s, minutes, min, hours for hour, days, months, and years. Those are the standard units that can be used internationally. So take note of this, that for distance, centimeter is measured to short distance that can be measured by the ruler. So pag short yung gagamitin natin or maliit lang yung bagay na i-measure natin, we can make use of centimeters. Yung gagamitin natin yung ruler natin. But for a longer distance, we can make use of what you call kilometer. So that is in distance. How about time naman? So in time, for time, second is used for shorter time being consumed, while hour is used for longer time. So yan naman yung gagamitin natin for time. So take note of that. So we have an activity here. So let's do this. So we have an example number 1. The car racer finishes 120 meters race in 30 seconds. What is the speed? So based on this problem, all we have to do now is to look the given. Ano-ano yung mga given sa problem? We have 120 meter, which that is the distance, and we have 30 seconds, with that is the time. So what is being asked in this problem? The speed. Ang hinahanap ay speed. So therefore, meron ka ng conclusion, or meron ka ng gagamitin, or meron ka ng formula. So what is the formula of speed again? So the speed is S is equal to D divided by time. Sasubstitute na lang natin. 120 meter, that is the distance, divided by 20 seconds, that is the time. So the answer must be 4 meter per second. Yan yung speed ng car. Okay, another example, number 2. Cyrus drives at an average speed of 45 km per hour on a journey of 135 km. How long does the journey take? From that problem alone, kunin muna natin yung mga given. Ano yung ibinigay sa problema? So yung binigay sa problema is yung 45 km per hour. Ano kaya yung 45 km per hour? Distance kaya yan? Speed kaya yan? Or time? So that is speed. How about the 135 km? Is that a time or a distance? Very good. So that is a distance. So we can now proceed with our given. 45 km per hour, that is the speed. Ang 135 km, that is the distance. What is being asked in the problem? So the ask is how long does the journey take? Kaano kahaba or katagal yung journey na yon. So they asking for time. So malalaman mo na dyan kung ano yung gagamitin mo, time. Yun yung formula na kukunin mo. So time is equal to D divided by S. So 135 km divided by 45 km per hour. So since ang kinukuha natin ang time, ang measurement, ang unit of measurement dapat natin ay in time. So ika-cancel natin, i-disregard natin yung kilometer at saka yung kilometer dito, yung kph, yung k lang, which stand for kilometer per hour. So ang matitira na lang is hours. So 3 hours is the answer. Okay, next example number 3. Danilo runs at an average speed of 8 km per hour. If he runs for 6.5 hours, how far does he travel? Based on this, you can see the 8 km per hour. So that is already the speed. And 6.5 hours, that is already the time. So the given there is 8 km per hour, which is the speed, 6.5 hours, which is the time, and the problem being asked is how far. So we are looking for the distance. So doon nyo na lang malalaman doon nyo na makikita yung formula niya na distance is equal to speed times time. That is 8 km per hour times 6.5 hours. So tulad ng sinabi ko, ika-cancel natin yung hour dito sa 8 km per hour, tapos ika-cancel natin yung hours. Anong matitira na unit of measurement? Kilometer. So the answer is 8 times 6.5 is equal to 52 km. That is the distance. So did you get our lesson for today? So remember that distance should always be exact, measured accurately, and based on a standard unit of measurement. Scientifically, distance should be measured by using measuring tools used such as meter stick, tape measure, measuring wheel, and ultrasonic measure. So that's the end of our lesson for today. And if you master our lesson for today, you are now ready to take our exam. So all you have to do is to read each of the numbered items carefully, then choose the letter of the correct answer. Good luck!